Okay, so I've just finished up here squeezing the pointed mortar into the joints. So, you know, sometimes I've got a little bit too much, like right here, and other times, you know, maybe I'm a little bit shy. If anything, I'm probably too much everywhere, but that's okay. So this was where I started, and I want to kind of feel it. And so you see, I'm touching it and water is coming right up to the surface. So I can't really do much with this at this point. I've got to let this dry just a little bit longer. You see how I'm touching this, and like when you probably see the reflection, it looks shiny. And like even on my hand, see how it's sticking to my hand? Like my hand is a little bit wet, I just rinsed it off, but that's too wet still. So, you know, my next step would be to grab one of these jointing tools. So I've got 3 different sizes. And so in here, this will compress down. But again, I don't want to do it right now because what's going to happen is it will just ooze out onto the stone, which of course that's okay. I could then wipe it off, but then I've got to fill it back up. So, you know, it takes a little bit of patience. And we'll come back out in a few minutes and see if it's ready. Okay, I've come back out, and back here where I was feeling it, it's starting to feel a little bit stiff. This section is nice. Just kind of feel around. See where it's a little bit wider, it's going to take a little bit more time. Where it's a little bit narrower, it's going to happen a little bit quicker. So let me show you. What we're going to do is we're just going to compress this. Okay. And notice some of the cement is coming up onto the stone. That's good. That's what we want. Okay. So maybe you've seen, you know, people putting up a brick building, and they'll put the bricks up and then they'll come back and joint it. So this is the step right now. Okay. And what's going to happen is we're going to then let this dry, not completely, but dry a little bit more than this. And we'll scrape it off of here. But what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to leave this recess into this. And then later, what will happen is I'm going to take a tool and just pull this away, okay? Okay, so this will all come away. Now normally I would let this dry longer, but I just wanted to show you the whole process. And like in this case, I'm using this brush, and all I'm doing is just giving it a brushed look. So notice, and this is kind of wet to be doing the brush, but I just want to show you, you see how this is a little bit shiny? By brushing it, it's not. So again, just to kind of show you the effects of the brush. So I take the brush mark away. So I rinsed it off with water, and then I'm just going to give it a brush mark. Okay, so again, this is still a little bit too wet, but it still shows the point that you groove it out, let that sit for the point that that's a little bit drier than this. Then once that's cleaned up, you know, these bigger sponges, they're great for some cleaning, but what I like to do is cut them up into about these size pieces. Take a nice clean bucket of water, squeeze it so that it's good and dry, you know, so no water's coming out. Even if I squeeze it hard, it still doesn't, a little tiny bit dripped out, but that's okay. And now, you know, I can go in and I can clean off that stone. So notice that was all covered with mortar, pointed mortar, and notice no water is leaking back into this joint. So see how right there I got the stone exposed? So it's just where I want it to be. And then what will happen is, you know, that joint is cleaned up nicely there. I'll clean up this other side. Now, this is a fairly common occurrence with stone, that this one's high, this one's low. What do? Basically, you kind of make a ski slope. So in other words, you expose the stone here and then expose the stone here, a little obviously less over here than on this side, but you let it slope. And then you know, once this area was clean, then you're just going to give it that brush finish, and you're done. Okay? Now again, this is still a little bit dirty, but because this is so wet, it's hard to show the finished process. But that's what basically all it is. You point it, you know, with your pointing tool, the appropriate size. Let that dry. Clean that off. You know, use your trowel to clean it off, and then use the sponge to wipe off the joints, and then give it that brush finish, and you're done. Thank you. This is David at Stoneyard.com. Come visit us on our website. Thank you.